So over the last couple of days, we've seen weakness in many of those medical counters in Singapore, right? Mainly the glove makers, UG Healthcare, Top Glove, and Riverstone, right? So these are companies that have gone down by more than 5, even more than 10% in the past 2 or 3 days. And the reason for that would be, Pfizer, right, announcing that they will have a vaccine soon and it's like 90% effective, right? And this can, bring us a step closer to the end of the pandemic. And that's the reason why many of these medical companies, glove makers, are like selling down over the past few days, right? And we have seen, many of those companies that were badly hit, right, during COVID-19, like those companies in the tourism and the travel sector, like Genting Singapore, SIA, all spiking up. So a lot of people have asked me, Joey, what do you think about the medical sector? Is it like heading down lower, or in terms of the counters like Top Glove, UG Healthcare? Can we still see a bit more weakness, or is it time to like buy now, or perhaps we should like be careful, right? So this is what we covered in today's video. We look at the 3 stocks that are in the medical counter: Riverstone, UG Healthcare, and Top Glove, and see where are the prices now and where are the levels you want to be careful, right? If certain support levels were to be broken, you want to be careful. There might be a bit more weakness, right, before we see a bit of a stability or some bargain hunting coming back, right? So we'll dive into the news first, right, of this vaccine before we look at the charts of each of them. Okay, so here's the news on Pfizer, right, one of the US pharmaceutical company, right, reaching a COVID-19 vaccine breakthrough, right? So it's like a step closer to the end of the pandemic, and they kind of like say that the vaccine is like 90% effective, right? So we're going to look at this news to see what are some of the things we can derive from here, right? How long will it actually take to kind of roll out the whole vaccine and vaccinate the whole world? So it seems like it still takes a while for the vaccine to be approved. Right over here, you can see that the US FDA has said that it will consider authorizing the vaccine for emergency use, right, ahead of a full approval, right, once the trial has collected like 2 months worth of safety data. So it's like about 3rd week of November, they expect the data to be ready, right? So it take a while. I think probably not in the next few weeks, it might take a while. And things like the trial will also continue for many months to come, right, in order to reach the threshold of like 164 cases. So they need a bit more data to kind of make sure that this vaccine is indeed effective, right? And if the vaccine safety and efficacy are looking good, it will then be submitted to the regulatory agencies for full approval. So even if it's approved, right, I would say that there's still big challenges. Right over here, the Pfizer expect to have like 50 million doses ready this year. So to immunize about 25 million people, or 1.3 billion people by end of 2021. So given the size of the world's population, they mentioned that the vaccine requires 2 doses, so universal coverage for everyone in the world is still a long way to go. So they have written that overall this result should be celebrated, but realizing that this is only one step in the journey, right? So there's still a long way to go in getting the world back to normal, all right? So but I think this is a good step. At least we have a vaccine that we're thinking like a step nearer, right, to the end of the entire pandemic, right? So this is Pfizer news, and let's take a look at another news that is announced by Singapore as well. So on the 10th of November, right, this is the Straits Times, Singapore also announced that they may have a COVID-19 vaccine by early 2021, right? So they commit close to like $300 million to make and buy the vaccine, right? So there's a good news as well in terms of the other one from Pfizer, all right? So we're seeing a bit of a vaccine news, and these news are out, we're seeing the medical counters selling down. So we come to the charts in a bit, but let's take a look at this again. So they mentioned that in the first shipments of the vaccine co-developed by Singapore researchers are expected in the first quarter. Okay, so it's like kind of like a partnership with Arcturo Therapeutics, one of the American pharmaceutical company. Okay, so it's announced that it's positive in terms of the preliminary results from early stage clinical trials ongoing in Singapore. So the EDB has also like pumped in like US $45 million into the manufacture of the vaccine, and they will also have the right to purchase like up to US $175 million of the vaccine at pre-negotiated prices. So yes, this is another news by the Singapore government, alright, that they're kind of like working towards finding a vaccine as well, alright, and yeah, that's the reason why we're seeing many of those medical companies hit, right, over the past few days whenever there are any talks of vaccine, right. So let's take a look at the 3 stocks, right, the 3 glove makers, right, UG Healthcare, Riverstone, and Top Glove, right, to see where are prices now, and could we actually see a bit more weakness, or is it time to buy? So this is UG Healthcare, right, as of the 12th of November, all right, 2020, the time's about 4 p.m. and we're currently trading about 65 cents, right? So UG Healthcare has done like a stock split, a 3-for-1 stock split around end of September, and these are prices that have adjusted downwards by about 3 times, right? So you can see that, based on these prices, now after the stock split, we're kind of like holding above this really good support at about like 90 cents. So 90 cents was a bit of a good support we have been holding above over the past, I would say, 1 month plus, all right, trading from like 90 cents to about $1 and $1.05, and that's where some profit taking came back. All right, so in terms of the short term, look at this right over here. So the short term wise, we started to see the 20 days moving average started to turn down. Look at this, right? The green line would be the 20 days moving average. It's kind of like sloping downwards, and the key thing is that we kind of broke this support that I mentioned, right? The 90 cents support, right? 0.9 support about a few days back, of course, when the news came out on Pfizer coming out with vaccine, right? So kind of like broke the 90 cents, and sellers started to come back and just sort off the counter, right? I'm selling down from like 90 to 80 cents breakdown as well, and it went all the way down to about like 70 cents. So today is the 12th of November, and it seems like we're kind of like breaking these 70 cents, right? We are currently trading at about 0.65. So I would say that in terms of the short term, look at this, right? After prices have adjusted down due to the stock split, the 70 cent support would be key. Look at this, we have been holding above that 70 cent support since, I would say, July, August. It was the resistance level somewhere around July. We broke up and it became the support. So now it seems like we're breaking this 70 cent support. So it doesn't look so good, I would say, in the short term. We might actually see a bit more weakness below this 70 cents. I think right now we might even hit to like what, 65, probably 65, 60. That would be a bit of a temp support, but if that 60 cents were to give way as well, we can potentially hit to 45 to 50. That would be the levels that we've seen a bit of support somewhere in July level, right? That was where it kind of rebounded. Right, so that would be the short-term weakness, I would say, for UG Healthcare, especially if we were to stay below that 70 cents. Now look at this right over here, the 200 days moving average is somewhere around that 45 to 50 cent mark. So we might actually be heading towards that longer term moving average, and hopefully we see a bit of bargain hunting, a bit of stability in terms of prices, and then we might want to think about entering again. But right now, I would say you want to be careful if you're thinking to buy, because we normally want to wait for a bit more stability rather than just rush to buy when it's coming down. Look at this, right? Maybe you have bought over the past 1 or 2 days, that's where you get caught. So normally we wait for a bit more stability at some of those key support levels, prices holding for a few days before thinking about getting in again. So right now, I would say a bit more weakness in the short term below that 70 cents, right? Just be careful if that 60 cents were to give way as well. So guys, if you like this video, be sure to give me an early thumbs up. It will definitely help out the YouTube channel, reach out to more people, right? And thank you so much for doing this. So let's move on to the next counter called Riverstone, right? So Riverstone has kind of like done a bonus issue exits on 9th of November. So prices have kind of like adjusted downwards by about half, right? Because it's like a 1-for-1 bonus issue. So those who have the shares, right, bought before the 9th of November, we have 10,000, you get like 10,000 shares as well, which will be credited on the 19th of November. All right, so these are prices that have kind of like adjusted downwards after the bonus issue. You can see that we kind of like sold off. Same thing when Pfizer came out with the news on the vaccine, we kind of broke that 180, right, went down, broke 160 as well, and now we are currently trading at about $1.45. Look at this, about $1.45. So in terms of the short term, you can see that same thing. The moving average in terms of the 20 days moving average is like sloping downwards, and prices have kind of like went below the 20 days moving average. So there's a bit of a weakness in terms of the short term. Of course, we broke that temporary 180 support level as well when the news came out. All right, so right now 145 to 150. Look at this right over here, 145 to 150. In fact, look at this, 145. The low was about 145. We have been holding above this 145 support level since like July. You can see it rebounded, and now we are back at the 145 level. So this 145 level would be key, all right, to stem more downside from happening. All right, I think hopefully we're seeing a bit of buyers coming back. If we can hold above 145, I think that's still good, but just want to be careful, because I think if we break below that 145 support, we might actually head towards the next support level, and that would be about 120, right? Why 120? Look at this, that is where the 200 days moving average is as well. There's a longer term moving average. Hopefully we see prices stabilizing around that level and then some bargain hunting to come back, right? But I wouldn't want to rush to get in. As I say, I want to see a bit more stability in prices above some of those key supports before entering again. All right, so this 120 is where the 200 days moving average is, and look at this right over here. It was originally the resistance level, right? Resistance level we have been like kept below in like June before it kind of broke up and prices started to rally all the way up. So 120 would be a good level. I would say it's the next support after that 145 or maybe 140 were to break down. So this is Top Glove as of the 12th of November 2020, currently trading at about $2.53 right here. All right, so very quickly you can see that there's a major resistance level at that $3.20 right here. You can see we have been kept below that 320. I would say since like July, August, we kind of like touch it like 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and we kind of like push back down. So that would be a key resistance level. We can't seem to get above that, for the uptrend to really continue. All right, and over the past few days, same thing. We have seen a bit of weakness. Of course, we broke that like 280 support level as well. All right, when news came out. All right, and it seems like now we are back to this 250, right? 250, I would say probably about 250. That would be a bit of a support. We've kind of like rebounded from that 250, all right? And now we're still like about 253, right? So say the support is about 240 to 250. Look at this right over here. We have been rebounding, all right? I would say in August one time. Look at it somewhere in September. We kind of rebounded as well. So 240 to 250, a bit of a support, I would say, all right? And it seems like buyers are starting to come back. But same thing, guys. We want to be careful because in terms of the short-term moving average, we're seeing a bit of weakness with the 20 days moving average kind of like sloping down. So if that 240 to 250 level were to be broken, we can potentially hit to the next support level. And where would that be? Look at this right over here. I think we kind of sold off heavily somewhere in September before we stage a really good rebound. So we might be heading back, all right, to that $2, right? $2 support level. That was where we rebounded from, all right, somewhere in September. It was originally the resistance level as well. So $2 would be, I would say, a very, very critical psychological support, right? If that 250 to 240 were to break down next. Okay, so just be careful, right? I think if we do break down, then we might see a bit of weakness in the short term. So yes, there we have it, guys. We have covered the 3 glove makers, UG Healthcare, Riverstone, and Top Glove. So I hope that you have taken note of the key levels, right? You want to be careful if they kind of like break down, we might see a bit more weakness, right? So yes, it's a good news that we are seeing a vaccine, coming out, and hopefully it gets out to the rest of the world. I think that's a good news in terms of all of us going back to our pre-COVID-19 lives, right? And we can all travel around again. So that's a good news. But of course, in terms of the medical counters, whenever there are any news or talks about a vaccine, they will likely be affected because in terms of business, there'll be, there isn't a huge demand for masks anymore, all right, compared to when COVID-19 first hit, right? So yes, I hope that you have liked this video. If you do, be sure to smash the subscribe button. If you've not done so, give me a like as well, and I shall see you in the next video.